Before the dawn of civilization, an alien force descended on planet Earth. Nothing would ever be the same.
And they created human beings to be slaves and servants of the gods.
Millions of people believe that we are the creation of extraterrestrials.
The genetic engineering of the human race was a profound event in the history of the world.
They say that our ancestors revealed the truth and the mysterious clues they left behind.
When these ancient texts speak of these strange beings that have descended from the sky, we should look at it as such, that, hey, we were visited by ETs.
Did aliens interbreed with primitive humans and propel our evolution forward by thousands of years? One man says he has proof.
I believe that the Star Child is not entirely human.
But others aren't so sure.
Until they come up with some positive evidence supporting that, scientists are just going to ignore it.
Skeptics and believers alike investigate the theory of ancient astronauts. Is it real or out of this world? Thousands of years ago, humans huddled around their simple fires, living their simple lives. They didn't have much and didn't understand the wide world outside their caves. But one day, as the story goes, the universe changed for good. This day, extraterrestrials arrived on Earth to make contact with our primitive ancestors. They were alien astronauts from another planet. It might sound like a crazy theory, but millions of people around the world believe just that. The theory was put forward most famously by legendary author Erich von Däniken in his bestseller Chariots of the Gods.
It was an absolute mind-provoking book. It brought up a worldwide discussion. So it was really something which came up with a brand new idea.
Von Däniken saw something almost inexplicable in our ancient historical record. He claimed that aliens certainly came to Earth, but he couldn't say why. But since his book came out in 1968, the theory has taken off, and a reason for the alien visits has been developed. Long ago and far away, a planet much like ours experienced its own global warming problem. The only thing that could protect the planet's eroding atmosphere from the scorching rays of the sun was gold. But the planet needed a lot of gold, so its inhabitants set out to search the universe for an alternative source. Somehow they managed to find us and our gold-filled planet. And so they stayed and made us their slaves, mining our earthly gold for them. During their time here, they built some major monuments, like pyramids around the world, from Egypt to the Americas. They used these monuments to navigate the stars and as landing pads for their spaceships. Perhaps they looked a lot like us, and perhaps they didn't. But whatever they looked like, the visitors apparently taught us a lot about new technologies. Giorgio Tsoukalos is a protege of Erich von Däniken, bringing the ancient astronauts' theory to a new generation.
Technologically speaking, we were still primitive, and they just gave us a push, a gentle push in the right direction. As in, you know, they taught us in mathematics, they taught us in astronomy, in agriculture, and so on and so forth. You know, just essentially to guide us in the right direction.
But the most important alien technology they gave us was mining technology, used to get that all-important gold. As unlikely as all this sounds, it appears that proof is all around us.
If you look in the right places, you have archaeological sites, you have textual evidence. When the natives asked these beings, "Where did you come from?" they never point across the ocean, they always point to the sky.
But not everyone agrees with this theory. Veteran archaeologist Ken Fader thinks that proponents of the ancient astronauts theory see what they want to see.
For them, it's like an extraterrestrial Peace Corps. You know, these people from outer space land on Earth, they look around after mating with us for a while, they go, these poor dummies, we need to help them out.
Nevertheless, believers see proof of their ideas in many ancient artifacts and monuments.
So my theory is that this pyramid was a machine.
One place we can look for evidence is near Mexico City. Ancient astronaut theorist Ted Strain believes that a mysterious ancient city called Teotihuacan is in fact one of the places where extraterrestrials once mined and processed gold.
The theory being that something having to do with pyramid energy, cosmic radiation, solar wind, who knows, in combination with the shape of the pyramid, channeled that energy and reacted with a certain way with the mica, causing like a chemical reaction to occur that helped the gold settle out of solution.
But Teotihuacan isn't the only place aliens landed when they supposedly colonized the Earth. All over the planet, there are strange and mysterious structures that seem to have been designed for beings and crafts from another world. Not far from Teotihuacan is Chichen Itza, with a built-in landing pad on top of its main pyramid. And in Baalbek in northern Lebanon, there's an ancient ruin of a mysterious, massive stone structure. But perhaps the most mysterious landing site of all is the Nazca Lines in Peru. The Nazca Lines have confounded mysticists and archaeologists alike for decades. Crisscrossing a high desert plateau, the lines have been around for at least 1,000 years. And some people claim that they look suspiciously like modern-day landing strips.
Some of these pictographs are a mile or two long in a perfectly straight line. Something that even today we'd have trouble duplicating without transits and all sorts of technical equipment. So how did the peoples from 3,000 years ago in Peru, how did they do this? There's no explanation.
But there's something even more amazing about the Nazca Lines, something that can only be seen from above. monkeys, spiders, and birds, bigger than football fields, are invisible on the ground but brought to life from the air. How could any ancient civilization have done this without the help of mechanical equipment, aeroplanes, or even spaceships?
They could have had somebody up in a balloon or up in an airplane or up in a spacecraft or an anti-gravity craft directing them on where to draw the lines.
We may never know the answer, but one thing many people say we do know is that once they landed, the astronauts got busy.
Don't get out of visual. Keep on the rope.
According to the stories, the aliens took us under their wings and showed us how to make and use tools, like lasers to cut stones into neat slabs and blocks. Blocks that could then be made into ancient monuments that still amaze us, like the Egyptian pyramids. Archaeologists believe that the pyramids are 5,000 years old. Each block of stone weighs up to 15 tons, and in South America, blocks on giant stone gates, pyramids, and megaliths stand watch at 13,000 feet. They are hundreds, perhaps even thousands of years old, and weigh up to 130 tons each. The kind of technology average humans would have needed to move these things, carve them, and illuminate them may seem too high-tech for our ancient forefathers. But a hieroglyph deep in an Egyptian temple may provide an astounding clue. These theories may tell us something about how the aliens might have influenced us once they arrived on our planet. But what was life like for them? Did they ever return to their faraway star?
We can be proud of.
Or did they stay?
Look at all the samples we got. There's going to be a large headline when they see all these great things we're bringing back to them.
And could their descendants still be living amongst us today? In the 1930s, a teenage girl was exploring a cave in Mexico when she came across two skeletons half buried in the dirt. When she dug them up, she was amazed at one of their skulls. Could this skull be physical evidence that aliens not only colonized our planet, but changed the course of our human species forever? Author Lloyd Pye thinks so.
I believe that the Star Child is not entirely human.
Let's say I do believe you. Where are we right now?
Before we can learn if any skull proves the ancient astronauts' theory, we need to go back to the very beginning.
It'll take days to analyze and compute.
Perhaps the truth can be found in ancient cave drawings, the earliest evidence we have of a human search for something outside ourselves. When archaeologists began studying the stories our ancestors left carved in stones and caves, some people noticed images and artifacts that didn't seem to fit with our assumptions about our history. Many people found it difficult to explain images like these, depicting what appear to be men in spacesuits with helmets and antennae. Since the field of archaeology began, the accepted explanation has been that these images depict gods.
When I see an artifact, then it looks like there's a god and there's somebody floating up in the air, and I go, well, that matches what we know about their origin story. I'm guessing that they're depicting a god. I think that's a simpler explanation than somebody else saying, no, it could be an extraterrestrial who happens to have a levitation device.
In the early 20th century, modern-day levitation devices got people thinking about the mysterious Nazca lines. Some began to wonder if it would have been possible to make these amazing geoglyphs without direction from something or someone above. Others theorized that perhaps we did build them on our own, after the aliens had left us and returned to their astral home.
The gods left, and the peoples that were left over that had contact with the gods wanted them to come back. So they drew pictures on the ground saying, here we are. If you're going to come back, here we are, land here.
this theory seemed too far-fetched even to contemplate. But in the 1960s, when man first hurtled through space and set foot on the moon, the thought of beings from another planet making a reverse commute suddenly didn't seem like such a crazy notion. Soon, the ancient astronauts' theory was ready to take flight. And in 1968, Erich von Däniken published his earth-shaking book, Chariots of the Gods.
I was the manager of a hotel when I wrote Chariots of the Gods. And it was a book with quite some mistakes, quite some things which I know today were wrong. Not everything, but part of it.
Right or wrong, the idea that aliens had visited Earth thousands of years ago and forever changed human history spread like wildfire. But von Däniken wasn't the first person to suggest this idea. For decades, believers in a controversial idea dubbed the diffusion theory had had their own ideas about the origins of human intelligence.
Where we find tremendous advances, it's most likely that there was a single source for that. Because generally speaking, people are dumb. You got to find one genius culture. The diffusionists initially pointed to Egypt. The Atlantis popularizers pointed to the middle of the Atlantic, said, no, it came from there. Erich von Däniken points up.
A handful of surviving humans escape aboard
By the
Galactica,
mid-1970s, the ancient astronauts' theory had really
They
come
must
into
fight
its
their way
own.
across the universe, searching for a legendary planet
Enemy approaching 100 microns.
known as Earth.
Enemy closing.
Over the
30
decades, alien contact became routine subject matter for books, TV programs, and the silver
Did it happen
screen.
eons ago, or will it happen tomorrow?
And throughout all this excitement, one question above all others really seemed to resonate with believers. Who built the Great Pyramids of Egypt? More than anything else, the pyramids represent almost unimaginable feats of architecture in the ancient world. Author William Henry believes that there's overwhelming evidence that they were built by someone other than the Egyptians.
I think the Great Pyramid is a giant energy device. It's capable of receiving and transmitting energy from distant points around the cosmos. The key to that is the location of the Great Pyramid. It's located at the exact center of the land masses of the Earth.
The icing on the Great Pyramid's cake is their seeming alignment with the sun and the stars. Their geographic orientation seems to put them directly in line with the stars of the Orion constellation. How could a 5,000-year-old civilization have made these advanced calculations, and why? Videographer Ted Strain sees a similar mystery in the pyramid complex of Teotihuacan.
The builders of the site, the planners of this site, A, either had knowledge from the heavens, or B, they were created by the gods themselves. The planners of this site may have been the gods. In fact, Teotihuacan, the name of the site, means place of the gods, or place that the gods gather.
Some people say that this ancient city was built in exactly the same arrangement as our solar system, and even includes a small pyramid to represent Pluto. But Teotihuacan is 2,000 years old, whereas Pluto was discovered just a few decades ago. So how could this be?
The answer is that there may have been extraterrestrial gods that had come down from the heavens and had imparted their knowledge on humanity, their knowledge of mathematics and astronomy.
Strain thinks that a royal group of aliens called the Anunnaki built Teotihuacan and many other mysterious structures like it. So who were these Anunnaki, and what planet did they come from? 6,000 years ago, the world's oldest known civilization, the Sumerians of Mesopotamia, carved tablets that told stories of how deities called the Anunnaki descended to Earth from a place they call Nibiru. They gifted us with new technologies and shared their wisdom about our place in the solar system. Most scholars consider the Sumerians' writings as myths, but not everyone.
When these ancient texts speak of these strange beings that have descended from the sky, we should look at it as such and not add symbolism to it or interpretation. Well, they could have meant this or they could have meant that, when it could be very, very simple. That, hey, we were visited by ETs.
But according to the ancient astronauts theory, ETs didn't just visit us, they actually created us, in ways almost too shocking to believe. But is there proof? This ancient skull could be the evidence we need that hundreds or even thousands of years ago, aliens came to Earth and bred with humans.
They saw those among the humans that they thought were fair and took them as wives.
The mystery of how we arrived on Earth is a big part of the ancient astronauts theory. Mainstream scientists agree that modern humans evolved from an ancestor we share with other primates. But Homo sapiens has walked the planet for over 100,000 years, and experts have long wondered what sparked the sudden rise of civilization a mere 6,000 years ago.
This missing link was an extraterrestrial intervention in our genes.